Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paskachada Satarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Go Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this is a belated presentation for Govardhana Puja, but there were a lot of holidays and this and that going on. So, and there eternally lives on no loss. So this is the little history of Govardhana Hill, and then also a very short parikrama around Govardhana Hill, because after all, there's unlimited pastime places. We could spend weeks. So let's move on. Next. So this is Govardhana Hills, known as Haridas Varyadas. He is the best of the servants of Sri Hari, Lord Krishna. This is an aerial view. It's said that Govardhana Hill is shaped like a peacock, with the two eyes being Radhakund and Shamakund. Next. So because the hill is both worshipped as a devotee of Krishna and as Krishna himself, the devotees do not walk on Govardhana Hill. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't go up on the hill. The Goswamis wouldn't go up on the hill. There are different leelas. We'll talk about that in a moment. So this is with a drone. This is the Deva's view of a Govardhana Hill. Next. So Radharani asked Krishna to create a special place for their pastimes. And out of his heart, Krishna manifests Govardhana Hill at the behest of Srimati Radharani. Next. So Govardhana Hill is Krishna's gift to Srimati Radharani. And here they're looking at the transcendental scenery of Govardhana Hill. Next. Radharani, when Krishna was coming, yuge yuge, sambhavami yuge yuge, Krishna comes. So, of course, he doesn't come without Srimati Radharani. And Radharani also said, well, I'm not going unless Govardhana Hill and the Yamuna and all of Brajabhumi goes. So Krishna said, no problem. So Govardhana Hill, just like the demigods appeared, Krishna's associates, everyone appeared to facilitate Krishna's pastimes, Govardhana Hill also appeared. He appeared as the son of the king of the Himalayas, a king of mountains. Krishna says, of mountains, I'm the Himalayas. So meantime, Krishna's arranging everything very nicely. Yoga Maya is actually arranging. Pulasta Muni was very much, he liked his ashram very much. It was full of nice river and fruits and flowers. There was only one thing missing. There should be one nice hill. So he went to the king of the Himalayas and said, you have this very nice hill, this son, Govardhan, let him come to me. Come down to my ashram. So Govardhan Hill didn't really want to go, and there was also the Lord's plan, Krishna's plan. So he said, all right, but wherever you put me down, I'm staying. You put me down once, I'm staying there. I will not move. Do you agree to those terms? And Pulasta Muni said, certainly, no problem. So Pulasta Muni, he's flying through space, carrying Govardhana Hill by his mystic power. And right as he passed over Vrindavan, he became overwhelmed by the call of nature. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, although he's a Raja Rishi, became overwhelmed by thirst just to create the pastime for being cursed to die and then Bhagavatam being spoken. So we may not see which way things. Prabhupada said, I have my plan, you have your plan, and Krishna has his plan. So he put down Govardhan Hill to answer the call of nature, but there it is. That was the deal. Govardhan Hill would not move. So Palasta Muni was upset by this, and he cursed Govardhan Hill to shrink 1 mustard seed a day. So you can do 5,000 times 365. You can figure out how many mustard seeds this is. And actually, Sariputta Prabhu, one of the founding members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, and his degree in theoretical physics and statistics, I saw him in the kitchen one day, and he had a bunch of mustard seeds lined up. And I said, what are you doing? And he explained to me that on an average, 12 mustard seeds will make 1 inch. So if you know that, then you can calculate over 5,000 years times 365 days in a year. You can calculate the whole thing. So he calculated the Govardhan Hill was originally, 17 miles wide, 40 miles long, and 4 miles high, Govardhan Hill. And if you take 1 mustard seed a day, you get Govardhan Hill to the size that it is now. Next. But one may wonder, just like Durvasa Muni tried to curse Ambarish Maharaj, how can Palasta Muni curse the greatest of devotees? Govardhan Hill, how is it possible? So, of course, it's Leela, but Rupa Goswami says the internal reason for Govardhan shrinking is due to separation from Krishna. It's not the curse of Palasta Muni. He's feeling separation from Krishna. That's the conclusion of Rupa Goswami. Next. So this is the cowherd boys. It's described that by Jiva Goswami, when the cowherd boys, you've seen the pictures that Mother Yasoda's dressing Krishna and getting all those jewels, and they pump a guru's smoke through Krishna's hair so it smells in a certain way. I mean, it's a whole art, and all the cowherd boys are watching and helping and teasing and like that. So when Krishna sets out, he, makes a little bit of a distance, and Mother Yasoda says, "Oh, wait." She comes out and fixes his turban a little bit, and then he goes further. She says, wait, and she puts another jewel on him. And so, finally he says, Mata, enough. I want to go play. So these are the cowherd boys when they're outside Vrindavan. You've seen kids when the parents, you see them when they go out for recess, young children. They're just exuberant that, they're free and nobody's telling them what to do, and they can just play all their games and all their sporting pastimes. See, here's the Krishna and Balaram. They're just going with all their cows and completely free to play in the forest, play on Govardhan Hill. Prabhupada said that just like a lotus opens and closes in the sun, Vrindavan expands and contracts according to Krishna's pastimes. If he wants to take a long time to reach Govardhan Hill, it expands. If he wants to get there quickly, it contracts. It's a mystical place. It's Krishna's Leela place, Leela Sthala. So there they are leaving, free to play. Next. And Govardhan Hill serves as Krishna and the cowherd boys' playground. There's, we'll say next. Here's Krishna snatching Madhu Mangal's lunch bag. Madhu Mangal is particularly fond of sweets. So Krishna snatches it, and then he catches Krishna, and before he catches Krishna, Krishna throws it to Balaram, then Balaram throws it to Subal. So that you can just imagine, it's described that there's rivers of nectar of all different flavors. And sometimes when it's cold in the winter, there are hot beverages flowing on Govardhan Hill. The rocks become very soft. When you lie down, they're like nice cushions. And in the wintertime, they become warm. And in the summertime, they're cooling. There's nice, tasty roots for snacks. Everything's perfectly arranged. Next. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Govardhan Hill supplies all kinds of necessities: water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. Also, Govardhan Hill has all kinds of rocks that can be ground into powder and made into dye. So the cowherd boys decorate themselves with all different, they color their faces, they do all kinds of things. And Govardhan Hill supplies all of these things. Next. It's described that there's 24 elements in puja: fans, flowers, dress, or different oils and scents. All these things are offered, and when all 24 are offered, that's perfection of puja. And it's described that Govardhana Hill, Raghunath Goswami explains that Govardhana Hill supplies all of these 24 elements in abundance, all kinds of scented oils and things. So here it's described, there's caves. You can see here, hopefully you can see, this is one of the caves of Govardhana Hill. There's a cave that actually at the end of the, at the hill, on the opposite end of Radhakund, it goes all the way through the hill. You can go in at one end of the cave and come out at the other end. So, and there are stones, as I said, cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Next. There's waterfalls, there's all kinds, swimming places, so many things. So, you know, we just finished Govardhan Puja. So here's Krishna requesting Nanda Maharaj, well, what is this, ceremony? And you know the pastime. Krishna explains that, well, why are we worshiping Indra? Rain falls on the rocks, rain falls on the ocean. And anyway, he has to provide for us if we act properly according to our dharma and duty. Then automatically he has. So he speaks, like Prabhupada says, as a first-class atheist. So Lord Indra becomes very upset. Next. So you can get a picture here. This is the wrath of Indra in Vrindavan. This is not Photoshop. This is a real photograph taken by a disciple of Indradumna Maharaj, who also is a professional photographer for National Geographic. So he managed to catch this. And mountains and thunderbolts, I didn't know this, but Jiva Goswami explains that mountains are always being hit by thunderbolts, and a thunderbolt wins. It just pulverizes the mountain. But in Krishna's Leela, usually a mountain loses, but Govardhan Hill wins. Lord Indra throwing his thunderbolt. Actually, his arm became paralyzed. He couldn't actually throw anything. So a devotee is victorious, just as Govardhan Hill was victorious over Indra, although usually thunderbolts win. Similarly, by the grace of Krishna, devotees are victorious. Next. So lifting Govardhana Hill, little finger, left hand, Sarva, and we shouldn't be surprised. Krishna's floating all the planets. What's to float one mountain? What is it? It says in Bhagavatam, like a small mushroom. His pastime umbrella. Krishna lifts Govardhana Hill. So why not? Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. It's not so inconceivable. Little finger, left hand. Next. So the Brajbasis, their only shelter is Krishna. As we were saying for on Govardhan Puja, sure, the rain's coming down. They're protected by the umbrella, but by Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, but the water will come over the edges. No, Krishna's Sudarshan chakra was on top of the hill evaporating, but it was raining all over Vrindavan. We saw that photograph. So the rain would come in from the side. No, Seshanag expanded, coiled all the way around the side of the hill with the Brajbasis inside. So it was like a dike. So this was very nice and warm. Next. So, of course, when after 7 days, Indra was completely defeated, left in shame, sun comes out, everything dries out. So Krishna says, okay, I'm going to put the hill back down. Coward boy, so you better move out, coward boys. Coward boy said, no, we've been holding the hill. You move out. You move out, and then we'll put the hill down. So just to give them a taste, Krishna gave them just a sample of the weight of the hill. Bam! Knocked them all unconscious and flat on their back. So then they moved out. Krishna put the hill down. And of course, everyone was praising wonderful Krishna. But the coward boys, some of them were grumbling that, well, he should have given us more notice that he was going to put let us feel the weight of the hill. So there's a little argument. Krishna likes it. In Vaikuntha, everyone's awe and reverence. And even, what is it, the Jewish tradition, you can't even say the name of God. You can't even make a form of God. So that, and here we have Krishna's playing. Mother Yasoda's chastising him. Coward boys are finding fault with him. And Krishna relishes it like anything. Next. So Anayor, of course, means give me more. Krishna took it. This is the Anakut, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But Krishna, Govardhan Hill is worshipped as Krishna's greatest devotee, as we said in the beginning, but he also took a gigantic form. And Krishna himself also, little baby Krishna, a little young boy Krishna was helping with the puja. So Govardhana Hill is both Krishna himself and Krishna as a great devotee. He can be worshipped in either way. Next. So Krishna held the hill for 7 days. Mother Yasoda feeds Krishna 8 times a day. So 8 times 7 is 56. And this Anakut ceremony, it's 56 different offerings. All of the 56 different preparations. Now, this is from Hungary, from Krishna Valley, the Shivaram Maharaj's farm there. And everything here, this actually, he said that they went over 56. They got up to 112. They doubled it. But after that, they kind of lost count how many offerings there were. And everything here grew on the farm except for some of the spices and the rice. Everything else, they grew on the farm. So Krishna's bounty, Radha Shama Sundar, the deities, they're standing there. Next. And this is Govardhana Hill from ISKCON Vrindavan. And when they distribute that prasadam, watch out. It is like rugby. It's quite an amazing scene. Next. So this, of course, we know the pastime. So here's Lord Indra realizing what a fool. Pride goes before a fall. So anyone who gets a little opulence, it's an intoxicant. Janmaishvarya Shruti Shri Bir, Kunti Devi says, so one becomes intoxicated by these things. So actually Lord Brahma advised him that you better go apologize. So Indra felt so badly, he was too ashamed. But Lord Brahma said, no, Krishna's merciful. You go and apologize. And you go with one of his dear devotees. You go with Sarabhi. So, and so he's being bathed, Indra's being bathed, or Krishna's being bathed by Mother Sarabhi, and also by Aryavata. That's Ganga Jal coming out of his trunk. And that's his footprint there in one of the Lord Indra's elephant. Next. So as we were saying, mundane pride, it's a great burden to carry, trying to maintain your image and prestige. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that we should all wear this verse from Sikshastika around our neck like a garland. Trinadapi sunichena tororivaseshana. You know the verse. But one should be very humble, lower than the straw in the street. That's how to approach Krishna. Next. So this is Sarabhi Kunj, and we can pray at this. This is particularly meant, the different pastime places, they have different purposes. Just like you go to a pharmacy and there's different medicines for different purposes. So the Sarabhi Kunj, this is the temple there, and then behind is the Kunj. We can pray at this place that let us have our pride reduced and be happy simply to serve. Next. This is Govardhana Hill as seen by realized souls. Hey, this looks like something. This is the mural on our wall out there. This is the adjusted to fit the wall. But this is how the self-realized souls see. Next. So Radha and Krishna, you'll see here there's some parrots here, green parrots. We also have some parrots on our mural. Actually, what is it with drone surveillance? And they can check out what the enemies. So Radha and Krishna, they have their own drone surveillance. That Krishna has, and the cowherd boys have a fleet of parrots, and Radharani and the gopis have a fleet of parrots, and they're all checking each other out. They're reporting back. Oh, Krishna's going here, Radharani's going here. Sometimes they ambush each other. They have a whole different, the gopas have a plan to tax the gopis when they're coming through a pass. But Radharani already knows because her parrots have reported what the plan is, and they actually get there early and ambush Krishna. So all these things are going on Govardhana Hill. Next. High tech is there. It's just sublime high tech. So now we're going to go on our Parikram. This is the Parikram path, the beginning of the Parikram path around Govardhana Hill. Next. And even though we can do it within our mind, we can offer prayers and contemplation. It's a very sublime. Most people, late for an important date, the Mad Hatter, People don't have time for, they're so hurried, they're so cranked up, they're so, rush, rush, rush. And who am I, and where am I going, and what is the purpose of the whole thing? And so this is a time for prayer and contemplation, circumambulating Govardhan Hill. Next. Of course, actually at Govardhan Hill, you're not alone. These are the local monkeys, and they are not friendly. They're like little thugs. They're furry thieves. Next. Here's some other residents. Of course, it's covered with cows, and these are one of the rare blue deer. They call them blue cows, but they're a type of deer, and they're rarely seen, but they're on the hill. Next. So there's so many places of pastimes. We're just going to touch a few. Next. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Govardhan Hill. He's in the mood of Srimati, because the hill, as I was saying, is both a great devotee of Krishna and Krishna himself. So here is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani, embracing Govardhan Hill. And those are Lord Chaitanya's transcendental footprints. Next. So we start our parikram at Kusum Sarovara. Kusum Sarovara is where the Kusum means flower, Sarovara means bathing place, and garden also. This is where the gopis would go to pick flowers. This was their excuse. Krishna's going to Govardhan Hill because the grass is very nice, so he has to go to Govardhan Hill. And the gopis, well, they just happen to have to go to Govardhan Hill because they're picking flowers for worshiping the sun god, Surya. And they just happen, it's their rendezvous place, it's their excuse. So this is Kusum Sarovara. Next. And Narada Muni, he wanted to see the Ras Leela and Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, but no one you have to be a gopi to enter into these pastimes. So he took a dip, informed by Krishna, he took a dip in Kusum Sarovara and was transformed into a gopi so he could see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna at Kusum Sarovara. Next. So Krishna also, after bathing, he combs Srimati Radharani's hair. And I don't know if you can see, but here he's combing her hair after their pastimes, and she's looking at the mirror. She's watching Krishna's face as he's combing her hair. And there's a little temple there. It's said to be over 5,000 years old, and it's now managed by ISKCON, the disciple of Bhakti Charamaj, originally from England. He's been there for 20 years on Govardhan Hill taking care of this deity. It's a very beautiful little temple. Next. Those are Radharani's lotus feet. Next, a replica. So now we're at Manasaganga. This is right in the middle of the hill. After Krishna killed the Vatasura demon, that's an asura, shape-shifting asura, came in the form of a calf. So after he killed it, the Gopas, the cowherd boys said, well, you killed a calf. We're not going to associate with you. You've got to bathe in Mother Ganga and get purified. So Krishna didn't want to take much time. So he, out of his mind, Manasi means mind. So out of his mind, he manifests Mother Ganga. And it's the largest kund on Govardhan Hill. So there you are looking at it. Next. And they should say the Gopas. I fixed it. The Gopas said, we don't know if we really trust you. You say it, So Mother Ganga, they wanted proof. So Mother Ganga actually appeared before the Krishna, offered all types of prayers, and then turned back into the water of Manasaganga. Next. So So the Rupa Goswami, the Goswamis, they used to edit each other's books. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, they would all exchange here's what I'm working on, what do you think? And I'm thinking of using this analogy, what is your opinion? So they were relishing each other's work and editing and helping each other. So Vallabhacharya, the pastime, was editing Nectar of Devotion at the request of Rupa Goswami, and he found apparently some faults. And Jiva Goswami said, how can you find fault in the writing of Rupa Goswami? Defeated all of Vallabhacharya's assumed errors And it's a whole pastime. So these things were going on. So what happened here is Sanatana Goswami, you see beautiful Srimati Radharani with their nice, beautiful, long braid. So Sanatana Goswami, in one of his books, wrote that the braid of Radharani is like a beautiful black snake climbing up her back. So he showed it to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami said, no. She's a sweet young girl, and you've got this black snake climbing up her back. No, it's rasabas. It's not a good mix. So Rupa Goswami was getting ready to take it out. The next day, Sanatana Goswami, this is Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir right here. So right near Haridev temple. So Sanatana Goswami was meditating on, and across the Kund, he saw this sweet group of young gopis. They were extraordinarily beautiful. And they were focused, obviously they were serving, attending to the one gopi who was stunningly beautiful. And he'd never seen her before in the village. And so they were coming down and they were laughing and joking. They took their dip. And as they were walking back up the steps of the Kund, he saw a black snake climbing up the back. And he was yelling, snake, snake, watch out, snake. And all of a sudden, poof, Radharani turned, laughed, and disappeared. And it was Srimati Radharani. So he raced back to Rupa Goswami, said, put it back in. She likes it. She likes that analogy. You put it back in. And there were some mosquitoes. So Sanatana Goswami was going to move because there were too many mosquitoes. And Lord Shiva appeared and said, no, that you are, because there's a place there, it's where Lord Shiva does his meditation. And the idea that Sanatana Goswami was using his place, Lord Shiva's place, as his Bhajan Kutir, he was very pleased. So he said, no, I'll take care of it. And if you go there, even to this day, there's no mosquitoes at that one spot on Radhakund. Next. So the famous pastime is the gopis would sail across Manasa. It was a shortcut. They would take the nautical route across Govardhana Hill for selling their wares, their yogurt and milk sweets, so many nice things. So they arrived one day and there were no boats. There was only one rickety, funky boat and a lazy boatman. He was sleeping in the boat. And they tried to wake him up, and he said, he didn't want to go, and they argued over the price, and finally he agreed, all right, I'll row you across. Next. But he said, you woke me up in the middle of my nap, and now I'm too weak, I can't. So he demanded some sweets, and he was the only boat, and they had to get across, so they gave him some of their sweets. But if you eat nice gulab jamun and pera and rasgulla and rasmalai, you get sleepy. So he conked out in the back of the boat. And so they so many things. Then when they started going across, his old boat started leaking. And he said, I don't know if the boat's going to make it. I don't know what we need to get some of the weight out of here. So he convinced the gopis that he ate as many milk sweets as he could, and they threw their milk products overboard. And then he said, well, you better throw your jewelry. And the boat was leaking about the same, so they threw their jewelry. So then, after ratcheting it up, finally he said, well, you better throw your clothing off. And the gopis were shocked. They said, we'll throw you off. That'll take care of the weight problem. So this is their nice joking Leela. Next. So then a storm came, and Krishna was rocking the boat because he wanted to frighten the gopis. The wind was blowing, and the choppy waves, and they'd thrown everything off. So Srimati Radharani, she grabbed onto the boatman because she was afraid, to give you. And when she grabbed him, she felt his flute. She said, wait a minute here, So then Krishna was laughing and everything calmed down. And next. This gives you a smooth and sweet sailing after the drama. So this is just one of the type of pastimes that are going on at Govardhan Hill if one has the eyes to see. Next. So right next to Sanatana Goswami, at Manasaganga, right next to Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir is the Haridev temple. And this is Haridev temple the deity is over 5,000 years old. We'll see a picture. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also visited here, and the gopis in anxiety: is Krishna coming? When will he come? They were calling out Hari, Hari in separation, and the deity actually appeared from the prayers of separation of the gopis. That's the cause of the Hari Dev manifesting. Next. And this is the Hari Dev temple. It was built by Bhagwan Singh, the father of Man Singh from Jaipur. Man Singh is the one who, it's a long story, which we'll tell some other time. But Man Singh was one of the jewels. There's 9 jewels of Akbar. Maharaj Akbar, who was controlling all the way from Afghanistan to Burma. So powerful. And one of his military commander was Man Singh, who became a disciple of Raghunath Das Bhatta, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and built the big Govindadev temple. So his father built this temple of Man Singh, and Lord Chaitanya danced in ecstasy when he visited this temple of Haridev there at Manasaganga. So next. And this is our ISKCON temple. It was the old palace of the king of Bharatpur. The kings, anyway, it's a long story, but the kings of Bharatpur were very pious devotees. It's considered part of Greater Vrindavan. But, over time, just like the kings of Jaipur were great devotees, the Maharaj Singh, Jai Singh, who saved Govindadev and some of the other deities from Vrindavan when Aurangzeb attacked Vrindavan, he had you can see to this day, at the top of the city palace, there's a pavilion at the top. It's about 7 stories. And then you sight down all the fountains, this beautiful garden, and then there's a pavilion with Govindadev in it. And he used to sit, after he'd retired and his sons and everything were taking over, he would sit, they had a telescope he got from France, shipped from France, and he would just sit there all day long looking at the telescope and watching Govindadev and all the puja going on. So they were great devotees. But it became, over time, they got the royal purse from the British government. They didn't have to manage anything. In 1930, they had a string of girls. They finally had a boy born, and his nickname was Bubbles, the king of Jaipur. His name was Bubbles because they drank so much champagne when he was born. So they just became debauched. So this temple, this palace of Bharatpur, it looks very nice now, but I saw it right after they'd purchased it. It was just literally a pile of bricks. You could tell the shape of the rooms because there was rubble about this high. And it was purchased by Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj. It's right on the Parikrama path. And they put, their money into it and completely, Keshava Bharati was the construction manager. And it's beautifully renovated. It's used for retreats and seminars. It's just first class. So that's the old palace of the king of Bharatpur. Next. And as a special blessing, when they were doing the renovation, they found these 2 Shilas. One is a light white Shila like Balaram, and the other one is very dark Shila. It's a Krishna Shila. So these are very rare to find on Govardhan, Krishna and Balaram Shilas, and they were discovered when they were doing the renovation. Next. So this over here is a scale. You can see the human proportion. These are people standing here. And this is on the path. And there's a pass there where the gopis would go through they were on their way to Mathura to sell their goods. And Krishna, you see the parrots, they tipped him off. So here's the parrots, and Krishna blocked the path with the gopas. And he wanted to charge them a tax. And this is a scale. Because according to poundage, the gopis had to give a tax. So, they argued, no, we don't believe you. Wise Nanda Maharaj would never put a thief like you in charge. He was saying, I'm the king of Nanda Maharaj, and I've established. They said, there's never been a poll booth here. He said, no, Nanda Maharaj just put me in charge. So they were arguing, no. Wise Nanda Maharaj would never put a thief like you in charge. Next. And Rupa Goswami explains this, that Krishna is a thief. He steals butter. He steals the gopis' clothing, and he steals everyone's heart. So we can pray at this place that, please, Krishna, just capture my mind, capture my heart. Krishna is the transcendental Cupid. Like Cupid shoots his arrows and penetrates the heart. So it's described that Krishna has flower arrows that capture all of the senses, and one cannot take one's mind away from Krishna's lotus feet. Next. This is the original Gopal Raj temple. Gopal Raj is Sri Nataji. When you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the Gopal deity, this is the temple visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Madhavendra Puri. No, actually, not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Madhavendra Puri discovered this deity. He was originally installed by Krishna's great-grandson, Brajanaba, over 5,000 years ago. And over time, the deity was lost, and you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a whole story how the deity was rediscovered, revealed by Krishna himself to Madhavendra Puri. Then later on, that deity, Aurangzeb and all the Muslims attacking, that deity was moved to Natwara, Srinathji in Natwara in Rajasthan, beloved of the Gujaratis. So next. So this is, you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is Madhavendra Puri worshipping Srinathji. That Srinathji is originally in our line. Prabhupada said we could bring lawsuit and claim him. But Prabhupada said, no, they're being worshipped very nicely. He's worshipped as the son of Nanda Maharaj. The temple is not like with a big shikar and everything. It's a haveli. It's designed like Nanda Maharaj's palace. So there it is. So this Anakut ceremony is from the original is Govardhana Puja, when they offered the 56 offerings Mother Yasoda offered to Krishna. And again, 56 offerings, they were offered by each village. It went on for days and days and days. So that's Anakut. Next. And this is Srinathji. He's lifting, you can see here with his hand, he's lifting Govardhan Hill with his left hand. Beautiful deity. Next. So the 6 Goswamis also had what to do. They wanted to see the Gopal deity, but they didn't want to go up on the hill. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to see the Gopal deity, Srinathji, but you don't walk on the hill. So there was a false rumor was started by Krishna in the heart of that, the Muslims are coming, they're going to attack the deity. So they took the deity and hid him for a month in Mathura. So it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the Goswamis, Lochandas Goswami, so many different great acharyas, they were all for a month in Mathura worshiping Gopal. Next. So this is on the other side of the hill. This is where Uddhava delivered the message to the gopis. And we can pray here to get a taste of that vipralamba, the ecstasy of separation. Next. So the gopis are the best of yogis. They're completely absorbed. Samadhi means to fix the mind on one point. You get this, you go to these yoga ashrams and they've got a red dot on the wall and everybody fixes their mind on it, But real samadhi means that all the senses are fixed in Krishna's service. Next. We're just skimming. So this is Radhakund and Shamakund. This side, this is Radhakund, and this is Shamakund. This is the Sangha in the middle. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But of course, the pastime is next. We'll do that. I think this is in the next one. That same kind of thing. That the Aristasura was in the form of a bull. So when Krishna killed it, the gopis said, "Oh, this is the gopis this time. Oh, we won't. We were not going to play with you. We're not going to go near you. Now you killed the bull." Krishna was pleading, "No. It was an asura, a demon. Whatever it may have been, he was in the form of a bull." So what to do? So the gopis said, "You have to be having Krishna manifest Manasi Ganga." They were going to make it a little more difficult this time. They said, "All right, this time." You have to bathe in all the sacred rivers simultaneously. They thought, we got him this time. So Krishna just stomped his foot. All of a sudden, the Kund manifest. All the sacred rivers came, just, what do you call verification? They each one offered prayers and turned into water, and Krishna took a dip. So then Krishna said, okay, now come play in my Kund. Gopi said, no, now it's contaminated with all your sin. We're not going to bathe in your Kund. So the gopis, Radharani broke one of her bangles and just with a little tap, and the other gopis, they broke a bangle and all of a sudden Radhakund manifest. So there it is. And at that Sandip, go back. What actually happened is that Radhakunda's also a personality. It's liquid prema. Radhakunda became so ecstatic, and Shyamakunda became so ecstatic when Krishna and the gopis bathed in them that they broke in and they merged. So that Sangam is the point where the two lakes broke and merged, two kunds. They're liquid prema. Anyone who dips in, well, go ahead, we'll read. Next. So Srimati Radharani, oh, that we read. Okay, next. That's Radhakunda. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world, I guess we'll do it this way. When Mahaprabhu left this world, Raghunadas Goswami decided to end his life by jumping off Govardhan Hill. So he left Jagannath Puri and came to Govardhan Hill and was going to commit suicide. But first, being the most saintly of Vaishnavas, he's our Prayojana Guru. He, for all our line. So he first offered his respects to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. They could understand what his intent was, and they convinced him, no, Mahaprabhu has many things to accomplish with you. You can't commit suicide. That body doesn't belong to you. Well, you're a thief. You think you can commit suicide? No. You surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so you have to do his will. So they convinced him that you just take shelter of Radhakund and everything will become, all right. Next. So this is from Nectar of Instruction. Of the many objects of favored delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Brajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine kund is described by the great sages as similarly dear to him. So this is by Rupa Goswami Upadeshamrita. Next. And this is also from Nectar of Instruction. Undoubtedly, Radhakund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it's even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. Just one drop. When the devotees first went to Vrindavan, we were jumping off the sides of the kund and bathing and water sports. Prabhupada heard about it. He was very upset. Prabhupada said, no, you shouldn't even, your feet should never touch the kund. You go down and down the steps, you offer full dandavats, and you take 3 drops of water and put them on your head. That's the proper bathing at Radhakund. There's Radharani's lotus feet, and 1 drop will give one pure Krishna prem. Next. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first went to Radhakund, all there were these 2 ponds. This is an example of it. This is a rice paddy field, and there was just some water. There's a spring there, and there's some water coming up. So Chaitanya, all the residents of Radhakund, or the local village, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bathing in these 2 ponds, little ponds. What's this all about? So Raghunadas Goswami, when he arrived, it also was just 2 small ponds. But of course, he was seeing the actual, spiritual manifestation. And while he was in his deep meditation, sometimes tigers, you see here, some tigers would come down and drink water. Next. And there's still tigers. In Bharatpur, it's one of the largest tiger preserves just outside Vrindavan. It's a World Heritage Site, and that's what it's a tiger preserve. So here's Raghunath Das Goswami, completely absorbed in meditation on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And it was blazing hot. So here's Srimati Radharani. She was coming with her sari and holding it over Raghunath Das Goswami to protect him from the sun. But he didn't notice because he was absorbed in his meditation. And the tigers, they're man-eaters. They would come down and bathe. And Krishna would stand with a stick and make sure that they didn't bother Raghunath Das Goswami. So you can imagine what his exalted state was. But how did the other Goswamis? This is Sanatana Goswami seeing this scene, that here's Radharani protecting him from the sun, here's Krishna keeping away the tigers. So did he say, you've reached the highest states of love of Godhead? No way. Sanatana Goswami chastised him. He said, you're saying Hare Krishna, please engage me in your service, and yet you're making them serve you. You rascal. Build yourself some bhajan kutir, and so that Radharani and Krishna don't have to bother protecting you. So, all right, immediately he built a nice little kunj. Now, there's a point that comes from this, that he was chastised by Sanatana Goswami for taking service from Radha and Krishna. Next. So this is Raghunath Das Goswami's meditation. He was thinking, no one will come, hardly anyone comes, no one appreciates that this is pure Krishna prema, this is the Leela Stala, the place of Radha and Krishna's sweet pastimes. If there was at least a little footpath, he was thinking, if we just put a little footpath, then people can come and circumambulate. He said, that would be very nice. He says, if only that would happen. And then immediately began to chastise himself. He said, what am I thinking? I'm asking Radha and Krishna to serve me again. I have some desire, and I'm asked, what a rascal I am. So he was thinking like that. Next. Humility. We're asking, oh, God, give me this. God, I get a pinprick, and oh, please, Krishna, please read, But that's not the mood of Vrindavan. Simultaneously with this prayer being offered by Raghunath Das Goswami, in Badrinath's way up in the Himalayas. Here you see, this is Nilakant. Anyway, this is up in the Himalayas. Here's a branch of the Ganga, and this is Badrinath. There was a very wealthy merchant, and he was going there to offer a very large donation to the deity, Badri Visal, who's is the Narayan Rishi. Next. And this is just the town of Badrinath, give you a flavor of the place. This is Nilakant. This is Lord Shiva's mountain. Next. So he went to the Badrinath temple is for the Narayan Rishi. And when this rich merchant went in to give the offering, this, gold coins and so many things, the deity, Badri Visal, said, no. You take this to Raghunath Das Goswami. He wants to renovate, Radhakund. You take it to him. All right, off he went, walking. There's no, helicopter or thoroughfare. Next. So you can see this is Badrinath here, and this is Vrindavan. So it's about 400 miles. He walked all the way down and found Raghunath Das Goswami and said, please, Krishna wants you to renovate the kund here. I'll pay for everything. Raghunath Das Goswami said, no, I'm not taking anything from Krishna. I'm supposed to serve Krishna. I won't take it. No. So the merchant turned around and walked all the way back to Badrinath, another 400 miles. The deity at Badrinath told him, I don't want to see you again until Raghunath Das Goswami takes it. So he turned around and walked another 400 miles back to Vrindavan, said to Raghunath, please, just take it. Please take it. So he could understand that Krishna wanted it. It's Raghunath Das Goswami. So he built the Radhakund Shamakund next by Raghunath Das Goswami. Here it is. This is the deity Badri Vishal. And this is the place where the Narayan Rishi spoke to Vyasadeva, inspired him for his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. That's so many things happen in Badrinath. Next. It's one of the Chatur Dhams, one of the 4 Dhams. So Raghunath Das Goswami took the donation this time, and the merchant oversaw the construction. This is from 1930. This is an old picture of Radhakund, what it used to look like. To give you a flavor of what it looked like when it's restored by Raghunath Das Goswami. Next. So Radhakund, you'll see in a minute, Radhakund is a nice square, and Shamakund is crooked shaped. Why? There's a reason for everything. So when they were planning the construction, it was proposed that they cut down 5 trees and then they could make it square. So the night before this was to happen, Raghunath Das Goswami had a dream. The 5 Pandavas came to him and said, please, don't cut us down. He said, we've taken form of these trees so that we can watch and meditate on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So please stop them. So they didn't cut down the trees. And Tamal Krishnamaj told me, 1972, Prabhupada visited Radhakund. He went with, the devotees, Guru Das, a whole group of devotees, Vishaka Mataji, Malati Devi. So they all went. And it was hot. And Tamal leaned against a tree. Prabhupada said, no, don't lean on that tree. He's a Maharashtrian Brahmin who's taken birth just to watch these pastimes. So we don't know what's going on in Vrindavan. It's far beyond our pay grade. Next. So here you can see this is Radhakund on this side, nice square, and they had to make Shamakund this shape just to accommodate the 5 Pandavas. So here you see Radhakund, nice square, and here's Shamakunda, and now you know why. Next. We're almost done. We're just winding up. So this is Radhakund, it's liquid prema. Next. And this is Radhakund, Shamakund, and this is the Sandhyam. This is where Srila Bhakti... Well, next. I think I've got a picture of it. We'll go back. You remember... Anyway, I don't want to take too much time. This is where Srila Prabhupada, as a householder, Rabbi Charande and his little son, Vrindavan, they met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this is where they're in Radhakund, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is not talking about, intimate Madhurya Rasa pastimes. He's telling Prabhupada, if you ever get money, print books. This is where it happens. So at Radhakund, the essence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is compassion. That not that we just relish Vrindavan, but we take Vrindavan to others. When you give them a Krishna book or Srimad Bhagavatam, we're actually giving them the ticket to Vrindavan. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the mood of burning compassion, told Prabhupada, you take Vrindavan to the West, to these people. You print books. So that happened. That's a historic moment right here. Next. So this is Raghunath Das Goswami's Samadhi. And this is his sitting place. This is where he used to sit and chant japa. And it's right, you walk right down the steps and you're at Radhakund. Next. So here's something interesting. Sarup Damodar, we know Sarup Damodar from Chaitanya Charitamrita, was Lord Chaitanya's personal secretary. He screened guests, so many things. But he also arranged his bath, his meals, his rest, his massage. And Raghunath Das, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, put Raghunath Das Goswami in the care of Sarup Damodar. So he was an assistant. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he knew he was there, all the external and internal pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he noted them all down. This is a palm leaf. There's a whole series of these. It's Raghunath Das Goswami's notes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Jagannath Puri. Next. And that became one of the core resources for Krishnadas. Krishnadas Kaviraj was a disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami. And from those notebooks, also the notebooks of Murari Gupta and so many different sources, that's where we get Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this is Krishnadas Kaviraj, after hearing from his spiritual master, I have now become too old and disturbed by invalidity. While writing, my hands tremble. I cannot remember anything, nor can I see or hear properly. Still I write, and this is a great wonder. There's that verse that by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a blind man can see the stars in the sky, a dumb man can sing poetry, and a lame man can cross the Himalayas. It's also interesting to note that Krishnadas, if we want to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where do we go? What's the best source? Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, was Chaitanya Charitamrita written by a direct disciple of Krishnadas Kaviraj? Of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? No, it was written by a grand disciple. And yet, that grand disciple gives us the most intimate, profound view of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are some people who say, Ritvik philosophy, you have to approach Prabhupada directly, and that you can do that. Otherwise, and it's such a good thing, we've got an intimate relationship with Srila Prabhupada. But actually it doesn't work like that. The grand disciples, great grand disciples, they can all have a direct, intimate realization. I'm a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Dravid is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So you can say, you're so fortunate, you have a direct relationship. But Shastra says that you can also, grand disciples can have a direct relationship through your spiritual master. Just like I wear glasses. Now the glasses, here's the object, here's me, and glasses are in between me and the object. Do they block my vision? Are they an obstruction? What do those glasses do? They actually enhance, they bring the vision into focus. So yes, you all have direct relationships with Srila Prabhupada. And he can enliven you. Prabhupada said after the first big Christmas marathon, book distribution, Srila Prabhupada said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is pouring his mercy down on you. And Prabhupada said that the grandfather is more merciful than the father. So there it is. The grandfather can pour mercy down. But you have to do it by the proper process. You have full access, but we do it just like the glasses help you see. We do it via the media of our spiritual master. So we have both worlds. You have a living spiritual master to guide and direct, and a direct relationship with Srila Prabhupada. You have both. Next. So this is Lord Chaitanya's sitting place. The Goswamis and many of our acharyas had bhajan kutirs and their samadhis here at Radhakund. Next. This is where Jahnavi Devi, the consort of Lord Nityananda, she had a private bathing place. There's a beautiful railing around it, and inside there's steps that go right down so she could bathe in privacy. Next. This side is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajan kutir. He would spend time there, as would Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is his walking stick and his shoes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Next. So as I said, if you ever get money, print books. This is real Vrindavan bhajan, not dressing up as a peacock or a cowherd, or I never leave Vrindavan because I'm such an elevated soul. No, if you're so elevated, then go give mercy. That's the conclusion of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Go and give Vrindavan to others. Next. I think we have 2 more slides. We're almost done. So bringing others to Krishna's service is the mood of Srimati Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This picture was commissioned by Srila Prabhupada. Here's Goloka Vrindavan, how they're all posed. And here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Lila. The same thing. Sankirtan is pure Krishna Prema. Next. So we just have, everyone's looking for blessings, secrets for advancement, looking for a shortcut. So according to Rupa Goswami, here's what we can learn from Govardhana Hill. Next. One thing we can learn is the pure mood of unmoted devotion as shown by the Brajbasis. The Christians are saying, oh God, give us this day our daily bread, which Prabhupada said is love for bread, not really love of God. And they're all treating God as an Amazon in the sky, give me this, give me that. But Mother Yasoda is thinking, let me feed Krishna. That's whatever happens to me, what do I care? Let me feed Krishna. So that's one thing we can learn from Govardhana Hill, that service to the devotees. Next. And, service to the Lord and service to the devotees. These are the 2 keys. Actually, Krishna says one who's my devotee is not my devotee. But a devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So we can learn that from Govardhana Hill, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that we should make a plan every day to serve 10 Vaishnavas. It can be a simple thing. Save them a little prasadam, get a cushion for them to sit on. But if everyone's thinking like that, how can I serve the Vaishnavas? That's Vrindavan mood. It's not, I hear the flute and that's another thing. But that's the mood of Vrindavan, as we learn from Govardhana Hill. Next. So may Lord Giridhari give all of us, he's waiting, we just have to take shelter. Next. And that's it. A quick parikrama and some history on Govardhana Hill. Hare Krishna. Thank you.